Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we now have two of the male gender represented here.
Wheels in spirit.
So since it's February, the theme for this month, we're born with the ability and desire to unfold the magnificence and experience the expansion of life within us. There is a power and a presence operating in, through, and as us that we awaken to, in which any and all desire can and will naturally manifest through the universal creative process. It's receptive to our suggestion. So the seeming phenomenon is inferred in the famous quote of Dr. Ernest Holmes, when he stated, "There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it." Come on! Let's get this straight, guys. We are always using it. We can't not use it, for goodness sakes. It's always happening. Now, at the time that quote came about, and we're not in the total context of it, so that's a valid quote. But I want you to look at it from the more expansive view, because we're never separate from it. We're using it all the time. We're created by means of it. And the only thing is, we may not be consciously, intentionally creating. So my talk title is a question from the universe, because when it comes on the email, it said, it's for me. I mean, it may have something of interest for you, I don't know. It may apply, but it came out like this. Good, evil. What's it going to be, Sharon? Because my name followed the question. Now I started playing with words and that, and evil, it was kind of like, whoa, there's energy around that. Now there's not energy in the letters of that, but we've attached energy to it. So I flipped it around, and it's live. So maybe evil is just living backwards. And then of course it started with all different words and using, and I went, using. You sing! You can get carried away with this stuff, I can tell. So it's a busy weekend. It's the 18th annual Season for Nonviolence, begun January 30th, that's yesterday. That's 2 days ago. Well, it's a calendar. It's bracketed between January 30th and April 4th, the anniversaries of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King, and we at the Joy of Life Center are participating in the Peace Walk March 14th, so that'll be a wonderful thing. Now, today's the Super Bowl. I don't suppose anybody knew that. I looked it up. So, the Seahawks and New England. Yeah, so I literally had to Google to see what was going on. But I found some interesting things. The Seahawk players use meditation and prayer and visualization. Well, pretty brilliant. And to prepare for success, this is key. The coach, Pete Carroll, they call him a life coach because he's introduced all this. And here's the thing. His Seahawks are mostly a team of rejects and misfits who were overlooked by other teams, undrafted or let go. And look where they are. So they use the game of football as a means of transcending the ego, cultivating collective consciousness. Now football, who cares? Some of us, some do. What do you think about praying for your team to win? We're all praying and we all want that, but we're moving into a competitive factor. So what determines the winner? I've studied the statistics. I'm going for the Seahawks. Not because of the statistics, just because I like the colors of their uniforms. And it's Groundhog Day tomorrow. And what's his name? Pakatawana or whatever, Bill, comes out of the ground, and if he says shadow, you get 6 more weeks of whatever. Are you serious? The weather person can't tell you what it's going to do tomorrow. We were supposed to have snow on Friday. It's an opportunity to be surprised. So Groundhog Day is also about that movie. Did everybody see that one?
Oh, no.
Very spiritual, very interesting. So every day is a repetition. And then there's a sense of desperation as it repeats and repeats and nothing changes. Who knew? Thinking the same thoughts. Definition of insanity. So will we repeat the script we have written or write a different script? Now, isn't there a simplicity in that option? Just take, throw it up. That is a possibility. So I've got a story about the General Electric aircraft assembly plant in Durham, North Carolina. And I chose it partly because my dad was an aeronautical engineer and partly because I like the story. So I want to share it with you. So the work is done by 20 teams. And the command from the management is the date the engine is scheduled to ship. They're responsible, the teams are responsible for all scheduling, ordering, process management, deliverables, no time clocks. So except for once a day meeting, there are 2 shifts and they coordinate with that crossover, that handoff. The workers come and go as they please, with the only thing set, the intention of the delivery date. There's no cleaning crew, but the place is spotless. There's no tool lockup, no tools ever go missing. There's only one boss for over 200 techs, Paula. Not too long after she started, a tech came up to her and told her there was no need to follow up with us to make sure we're doing what we agreed to do. If we say we'll do something, we'll do it. She thought, wow, that's so simple. I'm sending the message that I don't trust people because I always follow up. So there's an energy around that. So when given the order to deliver a new engine, they did it 12 to 13% cheaper than other plants who had built the same engine for years. Their engines are perfect. As one tech says, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I always think that engine could be on the plane that my 3-year-old daughter is flying on. They've got 8 years without workers' compensation. There's 3 pay grades, Tech 1, 2, and 3. Each is based exclusively on skill level and training. Training allows them to multi-skill so that one person is on vacation, another can build a turbine without that person. So, they've gone 8 years without that claim. The training allows them to support one another. It's like a community. They have no process improvement program. They simply manage themselves. I see that as a representation of what we as a team, inclusive of global, are doing. Because divine intelligence is us, as us, expressing as us, and trusts. There's no overseer. There's no restriction that says, I don't know, do you want to think about that? It's like in Tracy's song, choose. You get to choose. We talk about being open at the top. And I used to say, I just can't get my mind around that idea, and then, duh. That's a big idea. It's beyond the scope of this. I have to expand out. And of course the joke is open at the top, not so wide that the brain falls out. We are funny, aren't we? So the divine is everywhere present. We are immersed in that receptive medium. And then we think, oh, it can't know me. I can step outside of this. I gotta tell you, it's not possible. That would be living backwards, in my opinion. Infinite intelligence, infinite supply, unlimited, no such thing. It's all been given. We are immersed in divine intelligence. Imagine all the infinite energy in multitude of shapes and forms and beauty and diversity. The solution is simple. Don't deflect your good, everybody. It was kung fu fighting. It's all there. It's all around us. And the only thing that we have to do is not deflect the good. So the most powerful force in the world is unconditional, absolute loving kindness. Do we include ourselves in that? I think oftentimes we can give it to others. But in that inclusivity, let's include ourselves. Let's step into that. So in order to move forward in the world, accept the conditions as they exist. Don't bemoan it. It is what it is. It's a chair. We're dressed in black and white. My intention. It just is what is. What if we take all that energy away? So if it's in our experience, it's just something for us to look at. Are we initiating or allowing? Are we being inspired by desperation or inspiration? If we take ownership of the conditions so that we can stop the futile search for someone else to blame, then we solve our problems. We don't give our power away. So we take ownership, not from the perspective of, I did this wrong, but from the perspective of acknowledge, observe, accept, be present. The mind has always been working. We've always been using it. We have libraries and archives and backups and backups and backups like we use on our computer, but we've got those all stored. So when everything happens, we suddenly go, now back in, let me find that book in the library. Oh, I know it's a little dusty because I haven't looked at it for a long time, but let me see how I handle that. Or how my parents or my grandparents. So the only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step you are taking at this moment. That's all there ever is, says Eckhart Tolle. Now, I have a couple of websites I'm working on, and there was a problem yesterday, which is where my time went. And I was on the phone with GoDaddy. Now, an hour and a half in my second phone call, this person, Kim, she was quite lovely, but she was focused on what went wrong. So I went with that for a bit. Yeah, it's good to know I'm curious, because then I don't want to do it again or whatever. But it got to a slightly adversarial place where it was, I need to prove that you were wrong and you did it wrong. And I went, you know what? I know there's a solution here. I don't think it matters how we got to it, but let's just fix it. Would that be okay? And so she went with that. And we closed off the conversation. And I had to call back. And ended up speaking to a different person. And it turned out that in spite of the fact that we'd looked levels and levels and levels, it was hiding in plain sight. As is often the case. For me at least. I mean, this is my question, not yours, necessarily. So it was hiding in plain sight, and we got the problem resolved. And I learned something, and so did they. And it was good, but I was pleased with myself, I have to admit, because of course this question is on my mind. Good or evil, Sharon, what's it gonna be? And so I didn't get all uptight. I didn't get into the defending. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's gotta be you. I didn't, I was just kind of like present. It was really kind of grace. I liked it. So where's our attention and where's our intention? Are we recreating our day, like in the Groundhog movie? Think about what it takes for us to recreate the same old, same old. Isn't that amazing, really, when you think about it? Because we have to be constantly conscious in order to follow the same route each time. So if we can just let it all go, wow, creative. So we need to be open to the opportunities that each day holds. Now, our actions are not created by circumstances around us, but by the way we choose to respond to them. I don't know about you, but I should over myself sometimes. I should have, I could have, whatever. I was having a conversation with my brother, and It was about the website. This was a couple of weeks ago. And he was in a bit of a dither, before Christmas actually. And the website is his business. So he's analyzing, doing reports, etc., etc. Sometimes in a family it's not good to say, sure, I can help. But boy, have I learned a lot. So he was into a place of repetition. He was recreating. And I said to him, but honey, you're the only one in your own mind. And you're the gatekeeper of your mind. Now that was, I mean, where it came from. It's true. Think about it. So we have this gate that allows us to choose, and yet we sometimes just allow everything to come in. We forget to be conscious of what our preference is. And it's a preference. So many times we say that the judgment things, the evil things, should have, could have, didn't, whatever, judgment. And judgment tends to lock us into the situation. It contributes to that same energy. So there's a cartoon I found, which I love, and the science professor is teaching. And he said, well, along with antimatter and dark matter, we've recently discovered the existence of doesn't matter, which appears to have no effect on the universe whatsoever. So I'm proposing we move more into the doesn't matter. So, what are you talking about? What's your thing? We are each so amazingly creative. And we seldom think about that. We don't step in front of the mirror and say, good morning, gorgeous. You are brilliant. We tend to go, oh, dark circles under my eyes, hair's not looking good, having a bad hair day, having a bad life day. Who do you talk to? Who do you spend your time with? Who could help tease you, coax you, invite you out of that dark situation? That dark matter. What do we do? Do we ask people around us? Maybe, why not? I think oftentimes when we are having challenges, we tend to isolate. And that's exactly the time we need to turn to a friend and say, what do you love about me? Because that's what friends and communities are for. To see your brilliance when you are not seeing it yourself, when your light is slightly dim. I had a massage on Friday, and my masseuse said, I don't do to-do lists. I do a done list. So I say, ta-done! I see your brilliance. And so it is.
So it is.